Here in this primitive river-bottom wilderness in southern Arkansas, along with deer, duck, crane, and beaver, lurks a creature that walks upright. Whether it is a man, a monster, or a myth, no one really knows. What we do know is the people around Fouke, Arkansas say they have seen such a creature nearly 250 times since 1954. And that this creature, whatever it is, emits one of the most terrifying sounds ever recorded. Legend of Boggy Creek, rated G.
Well, I guess we're going to have some rain.
July 1960. While flying over a remote section of northern Canada, a Canadian aircraft patrol pilot suddenly encountered the huge shape of a strange, unknown giant. But what was it? And where did it come from? Now comes a motion picture that explores this incredible mystery. Don't miss Sasquatch, rated G.
Now showing at the Embassy, 46th Street. Starts tomorrow throughout Greater New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Watch for this ad in your local newspaper.
Good evening, goblins and ghouls, and welcome to the Friday Night Scream Stream. I'm your host, Spakenstein, flying solo tonight. As you can see, of course, my very good friend, Mr. Evan Sink, could not be here with me tonight. He is attending to a sick baby. So hey, you know, that's the joys of parenthood, right? But we hope the child is doing well and gets better. And of course, Evan says to tell you all hi. Of course, he's you know, he's a little he's bummed because, you know, tonight should be a good one. But you know, hey, we're still gonna have a good time. I see, of course, all of our very good friends are in the chat. We got Alana and Sears, Joe, James, Scott, Bee's Nest, of course, Toast. I know if I didn't say Sears, and if I missed anybody, James, William, Scott. I hope everybody's doing well out there tonight. Of course, it's Friday, and we're going to kick back like we always do with some good old-fashioned public domain horror. And it's, again, you know, we're getting to this point. It's the first day of August. So we're in the dog days of summer now. It's here. It's upon us. You know, we're kind of, and we're getting to towards the end of the summer of SCHLOCK Strikes Back, unfortunately. It is coming to an end. Mark in the chat, welcome, Mark. Hello from Denver. Yes, Samuel, of course, my brother. Yeah, well, now you know. But yeah, we you know, we're here. It's August. We're winding down on the summer of SCHLOCK. And so, you know, it's kind of, when it gets like this, you know, it's hot, it's sticky, you know, maybe it's stinky. And what does that remind you of? I don't know, Bigfoot, maybe. So obviously that's what we're going to be getting into tonight with The Mysterious Monsters, which is a 1975 cryptid docu-drama focused mostly on Bigfoot and hosted by Peter Graves, who a lot of you will know from many things, but of course, you know, very broadly, Captain Over from Airplane and the Mission Impossible series, of course, and many other films and television shows, Night of the Hunter, a lot of TV movies, and of course, his sweet dulcet tones as narrator of biography, A&E's biography. So we're going to be getting into Bigfoot tonight. Florida. Yeah. Is it a relative of the skunk ape? Again, there's all different species. I don't know what the proper phrasing would be for it, but suffice to say, we're excited for it. And, I like to keep trends on the Summer of Schlock. So, the very first one, we did a Bigfoot film, The Legend of Bigfoot, which someone in the chat mentioned earlier. And whoever that was, your summary of it was spot on. It's like a very boring, it was Scott. Basically a travel log about camping, occasionally hinting about Bigfoot. It's a pretty good summation, but we had fun with The Legend of Bigfoot. It was a very silly film. Yeah, definitely not like what we're gonna get tonight. And Bee's Nest, hell yeah, thank you so much. Look at that. Hello. He's excited for some Bigfoot tonight. Bee's Nest is excited for some Bigfoot tonight. We're all excited for it. And yeah, this is much, from what I know, I haven't seen this. This is much more on par with kind of the sensationalist schlock docs that you think of when you think of 70s Bigfoot schlocky movies. So, excited because The Legend of Bigfoot was definitely just kind of about one guy's really odd, bordering on romantic obsession with Bigfoot. And so that was pretty, we enjoyed it. We had fun with it. And then last year we kind of got hoodwinked a little bit because we watched Curse of Bigfoot, which maybe has kind of some Bigfoot action in the first 30 minutes. And then the next hour of the movie is just a different movie that was originally about a mummy, and they just kind of, referred to it as Bigfoot. They don't really ever call the creature anything, so it's Bigfoot, even though they're explaining it as a mummy. So that was a little bit of a little tricky. But we've gotten Yeti stuff during the winter months. We've seen 3 Yeti movies. So 3, 2, Snow Beast, and the Snow Creature, and there was something else, but it's not coming to me off the top of my head. But we love any kind of cryptid we're a fan of here. And that's the thing, this won't be all Bigfoot. It'll be Yeti and a little bit of Nessie action, maybe. So for all you Nessie heads out there, get ready. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're very excited for it. And yes, Romarts, you are correct. We're going to be getting into Sun Classic Pictures. We're going to be getting into they're the studio that released this, and they have a very wild story all their own. So of course we're talking about Bigfoot, but we're a movie show. So we're also going to be talking about the making of this, who is involved, and the other kind of trends that this is involved with, because I think it's very interesting stuff. So we're very excited for it. And of course, Evan's not here to do what were you... Oh, sorry. Why am I about to say what were you drinking? Excuse me. Schlocktail Hour, which, of course, is our signature segment here on the Summer of Schlock. And, if you saw the recipe on our social pages, of course, we're going to be partaking in some jalapeno shots tonight. But those are going to have to wait. They'll have some time to ferment, so that should be good. But I'm looking forward to those. Evan said next week we'll have two things. So it's going to get crazy for our finale next week, which, again, we finish off every season of the show the same way. And next Friday will be no different. Evan should be back in the saddle next week. But he's not here. So I was like, okay, we're going to do a segment called Let's Make a Drink Out of Whatever We Can Find in Spakenstein's Cabinets. So that's what I did tonight. And, you know, again, if you've seen the show, you know, I'm not good at mixing. There's a reason that we leave it to Evan. But I am going to attempt to make a little kind of a bourbon cocktail with a little bit of some orange bitters and a little bit of ginger beer and some grenadine. So don't know what that's gonna be like, but it should be fun. Excited for it. Mixing that up as we speak. You know, pulling double duty here, but excited for it. You know, again, Evan's usually the master mixologist, but I gotta have something to drink on, right? It's gotta be so I'm mixing the bitters and the bourbon. I don't know if any of this goes together. Probably not. And then I'm gonna pour the ice in the cup. Get that in there. Got crushed ice and plenty of it, because if we know anything, if Evan's taught me anything over the years that we've done this, it's ice to taste. And I'm gonna pour in the ginger beer and the bourbon together. See if they can kind of mix that. Get that going. Okay. And now let's give this. So I'm gonna finish. Let me just give it a little stir. And then what I'm gonna do, I got one more ingredient. I'll finish it off with just a dash of grenadine. Because you know you gotta have some blood for this Bigfoot cocktail. So I'm just gonna do a little tiny bit. Whoop. Okay, right down the middle. I'll give it a few little swirls of the glass here. And voila, whatever the hell I've mixed up for myself. So we'll see how it goes. And get the Pepto ready. Yeah, okay, there we go. That's some good advice. And then let's see who's eating lobster and crab. I get Kathy. Kathy's in Newfoundland. Okay, very nice. Okay, Canadian wildfire. I saw stay safe. I was like, oh, everything's okay. But I hope she is. I hope Kathy's doing good. But hey, Kathy, Evan, for our Scream streamers who couldn't be with us tonight, but hey, for all of you who are here with me tonight, this one goes out to you. Cheers. Okay. Not great. Really heavy on the bourbon, I think. Maybe I'll add a little more ginger beer. Don't know if that's really gonna help. But hey, why not? Yeah, just really bourbony. So hey, it'll be good. You know, that's the thing about Bigfoot, you know, you want something that really kind of takes the wind out of you. I think this is a pretty good approximation. So it'll go well. It'll go well with the film tonight. I'm proclaiming it. But yes, I'll be sipping on this cocktail with our film tonight, The Mysterious Monsters, which, again, very excited. This is, if you saw The Legend of Bigfoot, this is much more your traditional kind of schlock doc. And hey, another super chat from Bee's Nest. What's up? Cheers. Thank you, Bee's Nest. So awesome. Cheers to you. Yep, that one's for you, Bee's Nest. Woo! It's not bad. It's not bad. I get the hint of the bitters in there, you know, the smokiness of the bourbon. There's a nice kind of mix going on in there. And then the ginger beer is not as overpowering as I thought it would be. This is my worry with using ginger beer, but it's kind of been blunted by the strength of the bourbon. So, pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. Sipping, yes, sipping is the word, the key word there. But again, should be good. But I haven't seen it, and I think, I mean, again, when I put the show together, I have to see little bits and pieces of it. So the little snippets I saw, it's like it's got some vibes, it's got some atmosphere. So if that's what you like in your documentaries, you'll enjoy this. Again, the studio that released it, Sun Classic Pictures, they're a really interesting studio, indie studio that had a unique production distribution model, which we're going to get into tonight. But you know, and I've got some interesting info about the title of this film as well. You might know it by a different title, so we're going to get into that later. And again, you know, Bigfoot, everybody knows the classic, iconic Patterson-Gimlin film. I believe that is going to make an appearance here, which will be fun. That was not in our Legend of Bigfoot. So we're excited to see that, because it's just, that's the iconic image of Bigfoot that everybody knows, right? Yeah, Scott, why don't I just go ahead and cut out the later stages of taking Pepto and just go ahead and add it to the cocktail. Just go ahead and get the cart in front of the horse. I don't know what the saying is, but yes, not a bad idea. And no, Alana, I did not bartend during college. No, come on, what do you think I did? I was a lifeguard. What else? Lifeguard and swim lessons. That's what happens when you're a pool kid. You grow up, you're a swimmer. That's, you know, kind of ends up just being skills. You're like, oh yeah, I guess I can get paid to do these things. Bartending would have been very fun. I wish I would have got into that. Hey, not too late. No, I leave the bartending up to Evan. Evan's now, Evan's a professional because he's been doing this show for 4 years. Does he have a bar? I don't know if it's a license you have to have. I don't know what it is. Does he have a license per se? No, but at this point, he might as well. But yeah, very excited for our, I was going to call it I don't even know, can you call it a docudrama? I guess if you want to call it a docudrama. Very excited for the docudrama tonight. So, you know, this is the point where I'm usually like, anything else before we get into it, Evan? Yeah, no. Okay. Alana with the podcast recommendation. Okay. How hard it was to fake. Yeah, Alana, honest, and we'll talk more about it later, but it is one of those things, even just doing cursory research this past week, it's like there's almost as much to leave it up in the air. Like that when the people come out to try to debunk it, it's like stuff still just seems up in the air with it. Like you can't, it's like, I don't know, there's just too many strange things about it. So, hey, we'll dissect it more. I want to hear all your theories. I want to hear everybody's, you know, if we've got anybody that's had an encounter with a Bigfoot out there, tell us your story. We want to know. We're here for it tonight. This is what we live for. A little bit of cryptid action. Good old schlocky Bigfoot documentary. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the exciting beginning of The Mysterious Monsters right now.
The motion picture you're about to see was filmed by many teams of cameramen in more than 100 locations around the globe. Scientists representing the world's foremost research centers took part in the examination of the evidence. The facts that will be presented are true. This may be the most startling film you'll ever see.
Okay, that's a hell of a way to start off. That's going big. Startling. Oh, it's just the logo. Okay. As you say, it's pretty startling. As you see, Schick Sun Classic Pictures. That is the Schick Razor Company Schick. Talking about that connection later. I didn't know that, Alana. That's cool. Okay, hell yeah. We're just starting right off the bat. Oh, Joe, I don't know if I'd want to have that job. Well, it's a full-time job. Bird's going crazy. All that Bigfoot stank. Yeah, and Alana, and that's not even a very good costume either. And you know, I can't imagine that if they used a costume for the Patterson Gimlin film, that it would have even matched that quality. Oh, they probably are bats, yeah. Charles Cellier. Talk about him later. Interesting guy. And Robert Gwinnett. And Doc guy.
We're gonna have some fun, Jenny. Look, what is it? Come on, let's get out of here.
Oh, look at him. He's right there. Okay. Punchy opening.
Northwest, 1975. Here in this forest, investigators have discovered a set of very strange footprints. Human-like footprints, about 18 inches long and 7 inches wide. The footprints of a giant. A mysterious creature is roaming this wilderness, a creature that has confounded scientists, baffled investigators, and captured the imagination of millions of people. We've all heard of the reported sightings of this creature, a creature most of us know as Bigfoot. We've read about it in our newspapers and heard about it on radio and television. And some of you, like me, might have been skeptical about these reports, wondering how it could be possible for a sizable population of 8-foot, 500-pound monsters to live among us on the edge of our industrialized society. Well, I was skeptical, but I was also tantalized by what I heard. So I decided to find out for myself whether Bigfoot was fact or fiction. I did this by going out to talk to the eyewitnesses, questioning scientists, by examining the footprints, by looking at and listening to all of the available evidence.
Peter Graves is taking this seriously, you guys.
What
Look
I found
out.
I will now show you. A body of evidence difficult to ignore. First, there's the fact that this phenomenon is nationwide. That each year, people of all kinds from many places report seeing the giant creature, describing it as being covered with hair, being half man, half ape,
Jeez.
and as having an overwhelming stench.
Overwhelming.
In the last decade alone, there have been over 300 reported sightings of Bigfoot in America.
2 in North Carolina.
It's called by different names in different parts of the country, like Momo, or the Fouke monster, or the skunk ape, or Sasquatch, or the Noxie monster.
So they're all the same thing.
But whatever they call it, the people who see it are all describing the same thing.
I felt something staring at me, or a feeling of being watched. And I turned around, and that's when I saw Bigfoot. I was terrified.
Well, I was in shock. It's totally unexpected. And the only equation I could make on this thing is that it was a gorilla.
And we saw this hairy-looking animal crossing the road on its hind legs, and I can't tell you for sure what it was, but I believe it was Bigfoot.
I believe it was Bigfoot.
In spite of such eyewitness testimony, there are scientists who say that creatures like Bigfoot do not exist, that such monsters dwell only in our minds, not in our forests. They point out that man has always been quick to believe in monsters, and that these beliefs are born out of the unknown and nurtured by the unexplained.
Whoa. Okay, hell yeah, we're getting freaky. Jeez.
But even these scientists agree that some monsters have had a basis in fact.
A Bigfoot. Oh, wait, no.
For centuries, Western man had heard rumors about a legendary man-monster that roamed the jungles of darkest Africa. It wasn't until the late 19th century that science caught up with this legendary monster, calling it the gorilla. New legendary creatures are continually being found, like the Komodo dragon
What
and
is
the
that?
okapi, both discovered only in this century.
Oh, that's weird looking. Okay. The panda.
The
JEC
giant
in the
panda
house.
was not
Welcome,
discovered by Western
JEC.
scientists until 1937. It is still rarely seen in its natural habitat, the bamboo jungles in the mountains of China. New species are, in fact, being discovered and classified each year. New mammals, reptiles, fish, birds, and thousands of new insects.
Sick. Those are bats. It's terrifying.
People, too, are being discovered, like these Indians, the Tasadai, a Stone Age tribe living on the island of Mindanao in the Philippines. These primitive people lived on the edge of civilization, unknown and undiscovered by modern man until 1972.
1972.
Closer to home is the story of Ishi, the dawn man of Redding,
Tom
California.
in the house. Welcome, Tom.
This sole surviving member of an otherwise extinct tribe of American Indians, the Yahi, lived in the forests nearby Sacramento without modern man's knowing it. When he emerged out of his Stone Age isolation in 1912, he was living proof that creatures like the Bigfoot could live among us without our knowledge. And if Bigfoot is a species of man or ape that has survived a past age, then the turtle is proof that it could exist. A survivor from the age of the dinosaur, like certain lizards, some such creatures have remained unchanged for almost 200 million years. The crocodile is another reptile that has survived the ages. More proof that creatures from the past are alive today. There are even survivors of past ages that were once thought to be extinct, like the coelacanth, a species of fish scientists believed extinct for 60 million years, but found alive in the waters off South Africa in 1938. And like the creatures that dwell in Loch Ness, a mysterious lake in the Highlands of Scotland.
Here we go.
Here in these waters dwells a family of monsters that some scientists believe are survivors from the age of the dinosaurs. The Loch Ness Monster has been reported seen by thousands of people, by tourists, and by the villagers who live around the lake. And yet for years, the scientific establishment has denied the possibility of the monster's existence. Denied it even though its history goes back to the year 565, when a saintly monk first wrote about his encounter with the creature. Denied it even in the face of contemporary accounts, like that of the Reverend Father Brucey.
We were standing on the jetty by the boathouse, just on the left there, and looking across to the bay, we saw a sudden tremendous turmoil in the waters. And without being able to see anything, what was causing it, Then suddenly we noticed this huge black head moving along 7 or 8 feet out of the water, very, very slowly, coming towards us in a diagonal direction. And then after about 15 seconds it went down, but we never saw any humps. But it was very exciting while it lasted.
He was a priest. Would he lie?
The one Father Brucey saw was photographed in 1934 by a vacationing London surgeon, Robert K. Wilson.
Bee's Nest. Thank you. Loch Ness Ape Dingo.
Rejected that photograph as evidence, as they did this one, taken in 1951 by Lachlan Stewart. A photograph which shows the mysterious humps that undulate on the creature's back.
I don't know if that's... I think
this
that's
picture, taken in 1955 by Peter McNabb, was similarly rejected, even though it clearly shows the creature nearby a familiar landmark.
Clearly.
There were at least 16 photographs of the Loch Ness Monster, and all of them were rejected as evidence by the scientific community.
That one's pretty wild, actually. Is it driftwood?
Until this man, Tim Dinsdale, took his motion picture film of the monster that some scientists began to take notice.
All right, let's see it. Whip it out.
It was
Show
in
us what you got.
1960. Dinsdale, an aeronautical engineer, took this film with his 16mm spring-wind camera using a 135mm telephoto lens. He submitted the film for analysis to the Joint Air Reconnaissance Intelligence Center at the British Defense Ministry. They enlarged the film, as shown here, subjecting it to intense scrutiny. Their conclusions? That the film is of a living object, that it's moving 10 miles per hour, and that it's 6 feet wide and 5 feet high.
Big if true.
Dinsdale's film of the creature encouraged a new breed of monster hunters. Starting in 1962, the Loch Ness Phenomena Investigation Bureau brought a long-needed expertise into the search. They kept
The first of
cameras
many
pointed at all times on
cryptid
strategic parts of the lake.
Associated organizations.
Their major achievement? This film, taken by
Dinsdale.
Richard Rayner in June
Dinsdale.
1967. British Air Force scrutiny of this film led to the conclusion that, like the earlier Tim Dinsdale footage, this was a picture of a living object of some size.
I don't know. I mean...
In 1969, for the first time, the monster hunters took their cameras underwater in submarines. But the unusually peaty and murky darkness of the loch's waters closed off all possible visibility.
Sounds about right.
The submarines were
great if they
considered
got
useless
something.
and were withdrawn. Better results have been achieved with sonar. Sound waves which collect echoes off whatever object they bounce. The echoes are converted into electrical signals on shipboard graphic recorders. 3 times, in 1969, 70, and 72, research teams acoustically exploring the depths of Loch Ness have had contact with large moving objects. Objects which some claim are the Loch Ness Monster. The director of one of these expeditions was a Boston patent lawyer and physicist, Dr. Robert Rhines, who 4 times has returned to Loch Ness to try to get subsurface photographs of the monster.
Patent lawyer, certainly he doesn't have any mixed motivations here with his cryptid hunting.
Boy out there? Yes. Well, that's right on the edge of a slope. It's in about 60, 65 feet of water. It's going down. Okay. What we'd hoped to do was to lower this there and have this sink into the silt and so forth.
The cameras have been developed by Dr. Harold Edgerton of MIT, who also developed Jacques Cousteau's underwater equipment.
Okay, he's got some
The cameras are
cred.
connected to powerful strobe lights and sonar recorders, all operated by computers.
Oh, hell yeah, we're
On at
having
least 2
some kind of
occasions,
like,
objects larger than 30
some
feet,
kind of rave
like the
under Loch
Monster,
Ness.
have passed through the sonar beam. The computers then activated the strobe light and cameras, taking pictures every 10 seconds. In this way, the Rhines team has collected the best evidence to prove the Loch Ness Monster's existence.
Oh, Sears, I got all bodies of water. I got pools, I got lakes, I got oceans.
They've achieved
Do it all.
dramatic photographs, while at the same time
Rivers,
recording sonar
streams,
tracings.
creeks.
Tracings which indicate the passing of 2 large marine animals. On the sonar tracings, even the oft-reported mysterious humps of the creature registered.
Yeah, Joe, it seems like it would be right up his alley. I don't know why he's not on there.
The photographs are close-up.
Somebody
dramatic
get James
pictures of a
Cameron on the
fin,
phone.
about 8 feet long and 4 feet wide. The fin of the Loch Ness Monster.
Reptilian prelude.
Now that we know that it's there, what is it? Tim Dinsdale, who has interviewed almost every living eyewitness of the monster, has an idea.
Then you get this tremendous body. The forward limbs, I think, are rather smaller than the rear ones. These curious humps, of which I think there are 2 basically at the pelvic and the shoulder girdle, and this region in between seems to be able to change shape. People have seen the back changing shape. They've actually watched it. And
What
then
would
up,
be the
right up the
practical
back end, you
purpose
have,
of
I
that?
think, a tremendous swimming tail, like a crocodile's tail, which is used to propel the thing through the water.
Yeah, I guess Avatar is his Loch Ness.
This mock-up, based on eyewitnesses' descriptions and the various photographs, suggests that the Loch Ness monsters are a family of plesiosaurs, animals believed extinct for millions of years. As we learned with the coelacanth, extinct is not as final as it sounds. Some scientists now believe Loch Ness is home to 30 or 40 such giant creatures.
30 or 40?
Creatures the local people refer to as Nessie, a harmless monster.
Yeah, that's not enough to
Unless one
sustain.
considers the tragic accident that befell British speed champion John Cobb.
What happened to John Cobb?
Attempting to set a new record on water, Cobb took his boat, the Crusader, onto Loch Ness in 1955.
That boat? He's not gonna make it. And he plowed right into this.
Cobb was killed, his boat striking a mysterious turbulence.
I didn't know we were watching a snuff
This
film.
was caused by the wake of one of the loch's monsters, which was trying to avoid
Now I feel
Cobb's
terrible for
thundering
laughing.
speedboat.
But, I mean, come on. Look at that boat. Bagpipes, that's appropriate.
Once rejected by scientists and skeptics, the Loch Ness monsters are now believed to live in this lake, 24 miles long, 1 mile wide. But still rejected by scientists and
It
skeptics
just seemed like,
are the giant monsters
for the point
that
of
dwell in the forests of North
sensationalism,
America.
that they wanted to show. There was no reason.
There's still an uncharted wilderness in America where unknown creatures could live. Hundreds of thousands of square miles unexplored by man, mapped only by aerial survey. A wilderness extensive enough to conceal a large population of hairy giants.
Hairy giants
This
just
wilderness is
running around.
shrinking. Civilization is narrowing its boundaries. And as it does, our contact with the Bigfoot creatures becomes more frequent. Each year, there are more footprints discovered, more sightings reported. On the edge of the Oregon wilderness, in the Dalles, Bigfoot investigators have now opened an information center.
Oh, hell
Not
yeah.
unlike what was done at Loch Ness, to keep abreast of the increasing reports of such sightings.
What happened? Do you think you actually saw something or heard something? Okay, did it look like a man? Was it walking upright? Okay, how big do you
Is this
think it was?
Dinsdale? Is he working at the Bigfoot place too?
Bigfoot, like the Loch Ness Monster before it, is a creature that most people reject until they see it themselves. One skeptic was Mrs. Mary Jefferson, a widow living alone in a small town in northern Washington. In late August 1973, she was distracted by the incessant barking of her dog.
I'd rather fight the one Chihuahua the size of Nessie. 100 little Nessies.
Perhaps because of the recent forest
remind me of those
fires
little
in the
things
north.
in Jurassic Park: The
Mrs.
Lost World.
Jefferson had never seen before.
It's gonna eat that dog. Ah! Lock it up.
Later, an investigation team discovered giant footprints where Mrs. Jefferson said she saw the monster, providing supporting evidence to her testimony that Bigfoot had walked in her backyard.
He was 8 or 10 feet tall, and he weighed 700 or 800 pounds. Now, he walked upright like a man, and his hair, well, it was brownish, and it stood up on end. It was all tousled, and his face was just hideous, and he smelled.
The search for Bigfoot in the United States is in its infancy. The search for a relative of the Bigfoot has already been underway in Asia for over half a century. In the Caucasus and Pamir mountain ranges of Russia, scientists have found proof of a Bigfoot creature, which they call the Almista. In the nearby Himalayas, the highest mountains in the world, Western explorers and investigators have pursued the riddle of another elusive man-ape, the hairy giant known as the abominable snowman, or the Yeti. Part of the mountain people's lives for centuries, the snowman only became known to the West in the late 19th century, when British mountaineers began to attempt to conquer Mount Everest. But it wasn't until 1951, when veteran climber Eric Shipton discovered a new pass at 19,000 feet, that actual evidence was collected. Shipton, standing where no man had ever been before, took these photographs of giant man-like tracks. Once a non-believer in the Yeti, Shipton remembers.
Well, I must say I felt I had a very strange feeling inside. I've often seen these tracks before, but hitherto I'd always been a bit of an agnostic about the whole question. But seeing these tracks so absolutely fresh and clear, well, there seemed to be no doubt about it at all. And it was that that really gave me a very eerie feeling.
Yeah.
That here one was in the presence of something quite unknown.
That is eerie.
Although these strange footprints
that was very
puzzled the scientific community, they reinforced the startling story told by a veteran explorer. Nicholas Tombazi of Athens, Greece, a photographer and a trained observer, had claimed he saw the abominable snowman on an expedition to Everest in 1925. Almost never seen by Westerners, the snowman was glimpsed by Tombazi in a clearing only 300 yards away. Tombazi described it as a dark and hairy, man-like creature that was grubbing for roots with a stick. Other evidence to prove the snowman's existence has been collected.
So it's not white like you see in Hollywood Yeti movies.
Thought to be the lair of the Yeti. And in 1961, another expedition came across what was believed to be the hide of a Yeti. Another discovered what was believed to be a Yeti's mummified hand, and what was said to be the hide of a Yeti's skull.
Let's get a better look at that. Okay.
Some anthropologists believe that the abominable snowman is a very primitive species of man. Others think it's a giant anthropoid, an undiscovered ape that has evolved in a direction other than man.
Could be a lot.
That these giant creatures migrated from Asia to America thousands of years ago on what was once the Bering Straits land bridge, which linked Russia to Alaska. In support of this theory, there is the evidence of Bigfoot's continuous presence in Indian history, appearing in various forms on totem poles and paintings, and being called by different names, like Gilwick, Selatik, Oma, Bukwas, and Sasquatch. Part of the North American Indians' mythology from the beginning, Bigfoot was first encountered by a European in 1811. British explorer and mountain man David Thompson noted in his journal that while crossing the Rockies, he came across footprints made by a giant. Footprints whose great size, he wrote, could not have been made by bears. And in July of 1884, a British Columbia newspaper carried the account of the capture of a creature.
British Columbia.
A creature they called Jacko, whose description fits that of a young Bigfoot. Another early account of Bigfoot in America comes from President Theodore Roosevelt in a book he wrote about his days out west.
Of course
he
did.
The true story concerns two trappers on the Salmon River.
What if American president has seen it?
The trappers encountered the creature. Violence followed. One of the men was killed.
He saw a man get killed by Bigfoot. He was the president. You gotta trust him.
In British Columbia,
presidents don't lie.
Prospector Albert Ostman reported that he was captured and held prisoner by a family of 4 Bigfoot creatures.
Held prisoner?
Ostman's incredible tale included observations that one scientist felt could only have come from a direct encounter with a large primate species. Ostman signed an affidavit before his death, attesting to the truthfulness of his story.
I mean, he was about to die. How much weight would an affidavit hold at that point?
That same year in Washington State, Fred Beck and 4 other mountainers reported they shot at 2 different Bigfoot creatures. Later, Beck and his friends were attacked by an angry group of Bigfoot giants who tried to destroy their cabin by rolling large boulders onto the roof.
But why?
These and other accounts make up the long history of man's experience with Bigfoot in the forests of America.
Damn.
We need something more. The accounts of eyewitnesses today. People
we want more. I need more.
On firsthand.
What you got, Peter?
Such is the story of Mary Lou Bowman of a small town in western Michigan. The time, October 6th, 1974. The 17-year-old high school senior was waiting for her father.
Uh-oh. Just alone out here in the woods? Why?
Don Bowman, a former high school football coach and now a respectable businessman, had never heard of the creature that he and his daughter were about to encounter. Had no idea that the dark road ahead, beyond where his daughter stood waiting for him,
why is she waiting out here in the middle?
Soon bolt up out of the shadow.
I don't get this. Why not just say where she was?
How was your babysitting?
Ah, okay.
I didn't know they'd be on so late. I have to spend a whole weekend now doing homework.
Oh, oh no. Ah. Come on, get control of that dang boat that you're driving there. Get out of the way.
The next day, police found giant footprints in the dirt on the side of the road near the site of the accident.
Of course they did.
Stories from eyewitnesses like Don Bowman and his daughter are the most compelling evidence for Bigfoot's existence. They are, in fact, Exhibit A in our investigation, and there are hundreds of them.
Mark it
like
A.
This one from former Sheriff Oliver Potter.
Like I say, I'm born in the woods, the Cascade Mountains. I know the animals that are here. This was something different that I had never seen before. A large creature, about 7.5 to 8 foot tall.
He's real plastered up on that car
It
weird.
was grayish black in color. And as it went away from me, I seen the backside of it, walking as a man would walk on its hind legs.
There were 4 of us in the car when I was the first one to sight it. We pulled up on the freeway and pulled back for optimum viewing. Oh, I'd seen people from the same location and in about the same spot before. Humans up there. It probably was twice the size.
And it was a dark,
It was probably
dark
just
brown,
EGOT.
just swaying back and forth, sitting on a rock.
It moved more or less like a man, and it was about 6, 7 feet tall and probably a blackish brown color. And I couldn't see its face because it was running away from me across the road. And I actually, her and I both saw it disappear into the brush. Like I say, I was born and raised around here, and bears just don't walk on these hind legs that long.
Not like that. Well, that was the exciting beginning of
Mysterious Monsters.
And, I mean, so far it's doing everything that you want from these Bigfoot schlock docs, I would say. It's got eyewitness talking head interviews. It's got some historical, framing. It's obviously got cursory subjects that aren't really related, but hey, we got to fill an hour and a half, so let's throw them in there. It's got all the makings of a great 70s docudrama, schlock doc. Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty, and it's had a pretty good pacing too. I feel like it's kept the energy up. It's never really harped on any one thing for too long, so that's good. I think one of the reasons for that is that the writer-director Robert Gwinnett had actually produced a made-for-TV documentary the year before this, called Monsters, Mystery, or Myths. And that was narrated by Rod Serling, produced by David L. Wolper. And that was very much... It was more... I think it was more focused on other monsters, but from what I read, tonight's film may actually use some footage from that. I guess they just repurposed it for a theatrical release and put Peter Graves and some new hosting narration on there. And, you get what you get. And it's tight. Like, I think it's a really tight documentary. So, but that's Robert Gwinnett he mostly made documentaries. He made, I think for the original 3 Star Wars films, he made documentaries for each one that aired on television. And he also, he did some stuff with Alan Landsberg, who kind of trafficked in the same style of documentary. Obviously, if you've heard of the In Search Of series, that was Alan Landsberg, who was a producer on that. Him and Wolper kind of, in the TV realm, focused on these docs. But in the theatrical realm, you really had Sun Classic Pictures cornering the market. And Sun Classic, again, they were funded by Schick Razor Company. An executive from Schick Razor Company came in and helped fund, along with some other guys that had some experience in the film industry for a little bit at that point. And, their goal was to make films for the family, that the whole family could go to. And they were really targeted towards general audiences. And there was a really interesting way that they did that, which we'll get into later, actually, because we're going to talk more about the person behind that. But for this break, I wanted to focus in on the schlock docs that Sun Pictures Sun Classic Pictures made, because they are really responsible for cornering the theatrical market on this, whereas the other two guys made a lot of made-for-TV stuff. Sun Classic did, much like if you think about now with something like the History Channel, that does a lot of this like pseudo-historical entertainment. Sun kind of brought that into the mainstream. And this film, tonight's film, The Mysterious Monsters, was actually one of their first of these docs. And I think it was shortly after this that they did one entitled The Outer Space Connection. And so that's actually the first teaser that we're going to see, because we've got some made for TV teasers for these films. But The Outer Space Connection was one that may have been narrated by Rod Serling. And welcome, Abtron. You're checking in at a good time. We just enjoyed the first third of The Mysterious Monsters and talking about the company that made it and all the crazy schlocky documentaries that they made. Another one they did was entitled In Search of, let me get this right, In Search of Historic Jesus, which really goes into the Shroud of Turin. And they, again, they kind of focused on this, like, things that either dealt with ancient aliens or religious theories or even conspiracy theories. They did a movie called The Lincoln Conspiracy, and it's about this idea that some people from the government were involved and John Wilkes Booth was just a patsy. I mean, it's very kind of like, again, it's stuff that you would maybe see now on some TV, kind of doc pseudo history series, like what you would find on the History Channel now. But it's for them, it was really successful, which we'll talk about after the break. But the third teaser, we're going to see another teaser after that, and that's actually not from a film released by Sun Classics, but it was made from the same director that made tonight's film, Robert Gwinnett, and it's in the same style, and it's called The Man Who Saw Tomorrow, and that's about why am I forgetting his name? What's his name? Nostradamus. It's about Nostradamus, narrated by Orson Welles. I haven't seen any of these. Some of you might have seen these. Yes, Nostradamus, and it's probably responsible for a lot of the popular misconceptions about Nostradamus predicting all these things, including World War III, which is what the teaser focuses in on. So I hope that's not too triggering for anybody right now, just considering the state of the world. But hey, it's still relevant, still a lot of fun. But this is very much a style of documentary that was really popularized by Sun Classics, Sun Classic Pictures, when it came to theaters. And between that and Landsberg and Wolper and In Search of and that kind of stuff, between the late 70s and early 80s, this really was a very popular form of entertainment. And we'll get into kind of like why and how in the next break, because that's got some interesting facts behind it too that I learned today. But we're going to get these trailers for some Sun Classic SCHLOCK docs, and one from tonight's director, Robert Gwinnett. And then when we come back, we're going to get into the exciting middle of The Mysterious Monsters. So stick around. We'll be right back.
They came to Earth 40,000 years ago, and even now, they continue to observe us. The Outer Space Connection revealed startling new proof that Earth is being visited by travelers from another world. The Outer Space Connection, an astonishing motion picture experience based on the controversial bestseller that boldly unlocks the secret of our universe. See evidence revealed for the first time that creates a terrifying link between past and future, between Earth and the stars. Experience The Outer Space Connection from Sun International. Rated G.
Starts Wednesday in the greater Detroit area at a neighborhood theater near you. Starts Wednesday in Ann Arbor, Port Huron, St. Clair, Howell, and Lapeer. Also starts Wednesday in Clarkston, Romeo, South Lyon, Chesterfield Township, and Monroe. Watch for this ad in your newspaper for a theater near you.
It has survived a devastating flood and a great fire. It's called the Sacred Shroud of Turin and is claimed to be the burial cloth of Jesus. It's miraculously imprinted with the image of a man, believed to be that of Jesus Christ. Modern scientists have recently examined the Sacred Shroud and have discovered startling new proof about the man called the Son of God. You'll find amazing answers in this fascinating new motion picture based on the best-selling book, In Search of Historic Jesus. Old legends say the Algonquin Indians were visited by a bearded white man, a healer and teacher who spoke of one God. They called him Jesus. There are similar stories from around the world. Find out what new facts and evidence have been uncovered about the most controversial question of all time. See In Search of Historic Jesus, rated G.
Coming soon to theaters and drive-ins throughout the Sacramento viewing area for a limited engagement. Watch for this ad.
What would you do if you thought you knew the exact day World War III would break out, and who might start it, and where it might be fought, and who might be left when it was over? Where would you go? How would you protect your family?
Don't miss the incredible predictions of Nostradamus, the man who saw tomorrow, from Warner Brothers, rated PG.
And we are back. So that was the trailers for The Outer Space Connection, In Search of Historic Jesus, and The Man Who Saw Tomorrow. And thank you, Alana, so much. You are 100% right about that. Scream Stream fam is the best fam, and we really, really, really appreciate that so much, Alana. Thank you. Give it a, oh, hold on. I don't know why these things are popping up. They weren't there before. Now they're there. Give me a heart. Thank you. And yeah, to the whole Scream Stream fam, showing the love tonight. Really, really appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. That again, you by those trailers, you just get a sense for what those docs were like, and pretty cheesy, right? But let me tell you something. They made a boatload of money for Sun Classic because what their method in terms of distribution was what's a practice known as four-walling. And four-walling basically involved the theater, the distributor completely buying out the theater in a particular market. Like they would rent out the entire theater in a small town for a week or two. And they would just like flood the airwaves with advertising, just kind of bombard you. And then they would, because they rented the whole theater, or, whatever, if they, if it's a multiplex, I don't know if I don't think you're renting out the whole thing, but, you got to keep all the ticket sales, and then the theater got to keep the revenue from concessions. So, and that, again, that's usually, there's more money to be made in the concessions than the actual movie. But for Sun Classic, it was a great strategy because, again, they were trying to target general audiences anyway, but they could go to a small town for a week and bombard the local advertising, radio, newspapers, TV. And some of these ads that we've already seen tonight, you'll see there's little like, now showing at the blah, blah, blah. See your TV. It's all evident here in these ads. It's a very interesting system, and they made millions and millions of dollars releasing their movies this way. And they, again, they're only spending a few hundred thousand to make the movies, if that. So they really made a really good return on their investment with this. And you could question the integrity of this kind of entertainment, because it is entertainment. You can't look at I read somebody online, they were talking about, they'd written an article about this company. They were talking about how their teacher had put on the Lincoln conspiracy in class. And the kids were just like, wait, what? And they said the teacher probably didn't even think anything about it. It's just, I'm going to put on a movie for the kids. Meanwhile, the kids are like, wait, is this real? Because again, I think when you see this kind of stuff as a kid, that your mind is immediately like, it's real. Adults, is it, do they view it that way, or is it just more entertainment? I don't know. Clearly the Bigfoot stuff, again, anything that's supernatural or what's the word when you're talking about Bigfoots? Not unexplainable, but paranormal. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it, dealing with cryptids, you're always kind of like, I think people hunger for that. Like, there's got to be something out there, We all, whether it's cryptids, whether it's aliens, whatever it is, it's like, we can't be alone. So, yes, and Romarts, that's right. This movie did make about $11 million at the box office, which is pretty crazy. And I have that little factoid, which came from an article, an extensive article about Sun Classic Pictures. It was entitled "From Beyond Belief: The Incredible History of Charles Sellier and Sun Classic Pictures." Charles Sellier, we're going to talk about him at the next break. He was really kind of responsible for the movies why they made the movies they made, and how they decided to make the movies they made. And there's a very interesting story behind that. So we'll get into that later, but also with the title of tonight's movie, it's interesting because, we haven't seen the Patterson-Gimlin footage yet. Maybe I'll save this factoid for after we've seen that. But basically, there was some issues with the Patterson-Gimlin film being used in tonight's film, and it caused some, obviously didn't hold it up at the box office too much, but it did cause, that was actually what was responsible for the title change. But I'll get into the specifics of that later. We're about to get into the exciting middle of the mysterious monsters, and so far, Peter Graves is he is diligent. He wants to know. He really believes. He's a believer, okay? So we should be thankful of that. But we'll see what, he's been talking to some eyewitnesses. That's where we left off. And it seems like these people know what they saw. So we got to, hey, I'm a believer. I'm a believer. Why not? We don't know what's out there. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what Peter Graves, where he's going to take this Bigfoot hunt. He's a lot more focused on the facts than our previous Bigfoot documentary host, Ivan Marks, who again was in love with Bigfoot and really was just kind of not really interested in talking to too many people about it, just as much as he was finding it to keep it all for himself. I doubt, maybe we'll get some Bigfoot experts here in the second half, but I doubt Ivan Marks is going to be among the premier experts. So we're going to go ahead and without further ado, get into the exciting middle of the mysterious monsters right now.
Another eyewitness of the creature was Shirley Adams, a teacher and school bus driver in a small town on the coast of northern Washington. A longtime resident of the area, the young school teacher had often heard stories about the giant, hairy, ape-like monster, but she had never seen it. Never thought she would.
Oh, whoa. He's on the beach? Hell yeah. It does not seem like a good place for him.
What Shirley Adams saw did not frighten her. She experienced, in her own words, an unusual pleasure at seeing a creature at peace with nature. She observed the hairy giant for several moments and considered it not in terms of fear, but in terms of wonder.
Sounds like somebody else is in love with the Bigfoot, huh? My goodness.
Testimony, however, has had little such effect on the scientific community.
Eyewitness reports are not reliable. People can think they see things. Their minds can play tricks on them.
But Dr. Tibbet, so many people have seen Bigfoot now. Is it possible that they're all hallucinating?
Yeah, what about it, Dr. Tibbet?
See this skull? Now that's hard evidence, something to test, to deal with. Bring me a bone or a skull or a carcass, and then maybe I'll believe in Bigfoot.
But hundreds of law-abiding, respectable people have testified that they've seen Bigfoot. They've signed affidavits to that effect. They've even subjected themselves to examination under hypnosis. And yet the scientific community completely disregards such testimony.
It's unreliable.
Now, isn't it possible that science doesn't know how to use oral evidence? I mean, how to evaluate it, let's say the way the law does. Now, isn't oral testimony the basis of our judicial system?
Yeah, oral testimony.
Science needs something
Stress
concrete.
it, Peter.
Why, for instance, hasn't a hunter ever been able to find the remains of a dead Bigfoot in the forest? I mean, there have been so many people through the area where this thing supposedly has been seen.
It's a good question.
Yet nothing.
A valid question. To find out the answer, I talked to anthropologist Dr. Lawrence Bradley.
Well, in reality, very few bones are ever found anywhere in the forest. When an animal dies, it's immediately eaten by another animal. This is the disposal service of nature at work. I go up in the woods in Oregon and Washington all the time, and I've never seen the remains of bears or even mountain lions. And these animals are in abundance up there.
Dr. Bradley, it's been suggested by some people that maybe the Bigfoot creatures bury their dead.
That's remotely possible. If Bigfoot is, as some of us think, a humanoid, a species of animal more man-like than beast.
But it is possible.
Yes, but it's a proposition completely rejected by my colleagues.
Yeah, Lana,
colleagues completely
makes more
reject the
sense than anything else.
Bigfoot, most scientists say, cannot exist. But Dan Malachny of Deer Lodge, Montana...
You haven't seen that one,
disagrees.
Thomas.
I don't care what other people think. I saw Bigfoot 10 years ago. I was with 11 other Boy Scouts at the time. And we were camping 18 miles south of Butte in the Deer Lodge National Forest. We had walked in to the forest about 5 miles that day.
It's not over yet. We got another mile. John, did you get a new OA flap?
Not yet. I started another hour's service.
Oh, God, my boots are killing me.
You're not the only one, man.
Yeah, man.
They went down in there and they found the cars smashed.
After setting up camp, Dan and his friends ate dinner and then sat around and talked, telling jokes until bedtime. The boys were all in their bedrolls and fast asleep by 11 o'clock. was in the forest, Dan's friend was the first to sense it, the first to hear it.
These Boy Scouts. Do they not have a chaperone? Are they completely alone? Maybe it's better that way. Ah, thank you, Bee's Nest. To you in the chat. Bigfoots. And I thought I stink. But they're stinky Boy Scouts. Oh, Bigfoot's not ready to fight a bunch of tough little boys. Not as tough as the East Side kids.
Dan and two other boys saw the giant monster.
Yeah, Joe, that sounds about right.
It took us a couple hours to get back to sleep.
A lot of people made millions of dollars off of
morning,
four-walling.
We went up on the ridge.
Seems
where
crazy,
we
but
saw the Bigfoot out. And when we got up there, we discovered a number of footprints, the biggest footprints I've ever seen. And they look something like this.
Exhibit B, the footprints. Some 20 inches long, 8 inches wide. Footprints found impressed 2 inches deep into the earth. 1.5 inches deeper than the
and it looked like a foot.
Footprints that show that a giant walks here, moving on 2 feet as a man moves.
I'm no artist, but it looked a little something like
this. Permitted to establish the existence of a creature, if, after all, fingerprints can be used to hang one. These footprints, however, in spite of their number, do not convince the scientific community that Bigfoot exists. These scientists maintain that nature plays tricks with footprints, especially in the snow. Footprints, they say, change shape, grow larger as they continuously melt and refreeze. I asked Peter Byrne, formerly a big game hunter in the Himalayas, about this theory of distorted footprints in the snow.
Let's shoot one. Small footprints do melt out. This is true. The footprint of a deer, say 2 inches across, may become 5 or 6 or even 7 inches across when it melts. But they do not melt with any uniformity. So that if you had a line of these footprints, the melted footprints of a small animal, they come out completely out of any uniformity, different shapes, squares, circles, oblongs, and so on. And I think it's ridiculous to suggest that a small animal and the melting snow could really make a Bigfoot track.
Some believe that the giant footprints are made by bears, who, as they move, place their hind feet into the tracks of their front feet.
Oh, whoa, wild.
I don't think this is possible. The footprints that I've seen are very definite. They're very definitely the foot of a large bipedal hominid, a humid-like creature with 5 toes. When you get an overlap, you get a confusion of toes and heels and so on. These are clear-cut footprints, and in my mind, there's no mistake. They could not be a quadruped.
Oh, Bees, you gotta go. Cheers. Thank you so much for joining tonight. Thanks for the super chats. Really appreciate it. Thank you. You have a good one. See you later, Bees Nest.
1971, Pickens has tracked the wilderness with bogus Bigfoot tracks. His purpose? Not to fool the scientists, but to fool the monster hunters. He tells us why.
Well, we were sitting there having coffee at this Arden Cafe, and 2 gentlemen came in, and they was asking us about Bigfoot. we said, well, we didn't believe in it. And one gentleman says, well, you hicks around Arden probably wouldn't. And I turned to my friend, which his name is Harvey, and I says, Harvey, we're hicks. What are we going to do about it? And he says, yeah, what are we going to do about it? And I says, we're going to show them who the hicks are.
Hell yeah.
And then I went home and made boots.
Get them. Get these pretentious fucks.
Hoaxers have fooled the experts occasionally, but anthropologist Grover Krantz of Washington
Maybe
State
the experts
University
should be assholes.
insists that fakers could not have made all the giant footprints.
There are a number of footprints that I've seen that are faked, and this can be done. But on the other hand, there are a few that show some characteristics that I think could not have been faked. This is
Grover
one
Krantz
such
here is
footprint.
one of the
This
premier
cast I've drawn in the
Bigfoot
approximate reconstructions of the bones. This is a crippled individual where a couple of bulges have extended out between adjacent bones on the outer edge of the foot. If this had been a human foot, these bulges would have been farther back. But they're shifted forward, making the heel longer and the front of the foot shorter. This is exactly what is required for a foot that's going to carry perhaps an 800-pound body.
Jesus Christ.
Now, I don't think any faker could have thought of it and figured this out and adjusted his footprint accordingly. A fake footprint is just simply an expanded, enlarged footprint or an enlarged copy of a human foot.
With this convincing background, I now thought it best to talk to a trained observer who personally discovered such giant tracks, like newspaperman Ed McLarney of Stevenson, Washington.
Observer.
I turned my head and looked in the direction Marv was pointing. Down below us, for as far as the eye could see, were two sets of tracks coming parallel up this terrifically steep ridge. They crossed the road. We walked up the road just a little bit farther, and they crossed the road right in front of us. Big tracks. They were firm tracks, and obviously the kinds of tracks that people have talked about when they described Bigfoot. And what was especially convincing was the terrific distance between footprints. I have got pretty long legs. I'm nearly 6'4", and I could not, in trying to stretch my feet, could not duplicate what we were seeing there. I had to jump from one track to another to duplicate the distance between tracks. In the first place, I do not think that any human being would have been physically capable of marching up that ridge in that deep snow. In the second place, that superhuman strength was required to do it.
This is a nice one. That was a nice one.
For years, the only proof of Bigfoot's existence were the accounts of eyewitnesses and the plaster casts of footprints. It's only now, during the last decade, that proof in the way of physical evidence has begun to be accumulated. Here, in these woods, in a remote region of the High Sierra, some of that evidence has been collected. It was in the fall of 1972, and three men, Alan Berry, Rick Murphy, and Tim Sawyer, had just discovered human-like footprints 20 inches long. They'd heard about the creature called Bigfoot, but they never thought they'd encounter it. The men were relaxing after a hard day in the woods.
I'll tell you, the next time we're coming out, he's doing the cooking, not you.
All right, I don't need any ribbing about that, Bill, you know. I told you guys I came up here as the guy.
You're a terrible guy. You got us lost like 3 times today.
Next time, Mel can do the cooking.
Oh, that's a good idea. Well, I'll go home with Barry.
It's like, hey,
Sonata.
Juicy, listen.
Sounds like my mother-in-law.
Hey, don't joke around. Listen.
Got it.
I never heard anything like that before.
Me neither. I'm gonna get that on the tape recorder.
Fortunately, on this trip to the Sierras, Alan Berry had his tape recorder along to record the sounds of various birds and animals. Calmly, he reached for this and not for his rifle.
Where's it coming?
I don't know.
I took the sound tapes recorded by Alan
I wonder if that,
Berry
I guess
to
that was the
Dr.
real
Robert
recording.
Sheldon. Not knowing what strange creature
I mean,
made these sounds,
it sounded like
Dr.
somebody.
Sheldon subjected them to a rigorous computer analysis.
How do you go about analyzing
But
these
it
tapes?
also sounded kind of a little.
The first thing we do is to digitize the sound into the computer. Digitizing consists of converting each second of sound into 20,000 numbers that are stored in the files on the computer. We can select any portion of this we'd like and do a frequency analysis on this portion. We've chosen the sound from the tape because it seems to have an unusual formant structure.
Do you mean that you've picked just a certain part of this tape, one section of it?
We've taken a section of this tape for analysis.
Yeah,
much
Scott,
like a
Tim
scientist
Allen.
might take a piece that he wants to analyze and look at it under a microscope. This particular sound that we're looking at has a frequency structure that's lower than the normal male human voice. For example, we could do a sample of your voice, and then we could compare the analysis of your vowel with the analysis that we have from the tape. You could speak into the microphone here, and
We're gonna compare
we can
your
record that
voice
into
with
the
a
computer.
Bigfoot's, Peter. You're gonna
Just,
love it.
Say ah.
Ah.
The comparison of the two printouts showed that the creature's vowel sound peaked early, higher than mine. My sound edged out at a secondary, lower peak. I asked Dr. Sheldon what he could learn from these comparisons.
Human male has a vocal tract on the average of about 17 centimeters long.
Damn,
This
they're really
analysis
getting into
tells
the
us
weeds
that
here. My
based on the
goodness.
formant frequencies of this sound, we would have a vocal tract of about 25 centimeters long.
I see, so that could give you some idea of the size of whatever creature made the noise.
Yes. We could say
Yeah,
that,
Thomas.
that the vocal tract that produced these sounds would have been at least 50% larger than a human male.
Then that means that if I'm over 6 feet tall, the creature that made this sound must be over 9 feet tall.
That's probably true, yes.
Are there any other tests that you can do to analyze the tape?
We can do what we call a formant track. That's, it's similar to a voice print. It's a newer and better way to do a voice print analysis on the computer. We can look at the movement of the frequencies and say something about the articulatory flexibility. During the 15 minutes of sound on this tape, we have examples of
Yeah,
three
Alana,
vowels,
that's right.
and o. But nowhere on the tape is there the sound E. Now, the sound E requires moving the tongue forward in the mouth. And if we look at the physical structure of, say, a gorilla, the gorilla has the neck at a different angle, and it's impossible for the gorilla to move his tongue forward in order to make the E sound. The fact that we don't see this sound on the tape suggests that this creature perhaps did not have the ability to make that sound.
Do you know what made these sounds?
No, I don't.
Exhibit C. The sounds made by an unknown creature, probably Bigfoot.
Good point,
That
Scott.
consists of
Sounds that seem to indicate that the creature is more man than ape. Similar sounds to those heard by Alan Barry and his friends have been heard by others, by those on expeditions searching for Bigfoot, and by men like Hal Williamson of Idaho. Williamson, a longtime fisherman and outdoorsman, was vacationing in British Columbia, Canada, when he first heard the strange sounds, coming, it seemed, from a great distance. The sounds seemed to be coming closer, and suddenly they were upon him. A confident sportsman, Williamson was determined to find out more about the creature he heard and saw.
I'm gonna go catch me Bigfoot.
The air was heavy with a foul odor, a stench Williamson later described as being, in his own words, one of the worst smells he's ever experienced. His curiosity outweighing his fears, Williamson, unarmed, made his way to the area where he had spotted the Bigfoot. Silence now replaced the eerie screams of the giant creature. But the stench in the air told Williamson that the monster was still nearby.
He doesn't have any kind of weapon, any kind of gun, nothing. Oh, shit!
Later, hair found nearby was classified as
Later?
no known animal. By
What?
accumulating data pointing to the creature's possible existence, more and more organized expeditions are taking to the field to find a Bigfoot.
What happened? That
This one
guy's...
is under the direction of Robert Morgan of Miami, Florida.
Oh,
The expedition
okay.
hopes to
Yeah.
photograph a live Bigfoot or produce evidence of a dead one.
Where are we? Are we in Florida?
They believe a colony of over 200
No,
Bigfoot creatures inhabits the unexplored wilderness of the Pacific Northwest.
We're in the Pacific.
The expedition has tried to anticipate the creature's movements, running the roads, keeping a watchful
This
eye
guy
for
should have
any
just stayed in
evidence of
Florida to
its
look for a
passing.
skunk ape.
Thinking Bigfoot to be a nocturnal creature, they're prepared to penetrate the darkness of night with special light amplification viewing devices. Morgan, a former government computer specialist, began to pursue Bigfoot only after having seen one, he says, in 1957.
And all of a sudden, this thing went through the bushes. He didn't go around. He went, I mean, I could see the wake, you know, just plowed right through it, and he moved up at an angle away from me. I was on the edge of a canyon. And at a point, I estimate about 40 yards from me. It went into an opening, a clearing in the brambles. And what I saw was a more
Wow.
man-like looking
wild.
gorilla, in my estimation, that I'd ever seen.
Okay.
And that's traveling slow.
Expeditions like this one have gone out armed with tranquilizing guns and cameras. The object is to bring back evidence to force the scientific establishment to take a more active part in the search for Bigfoot.
See, we got one. Are you gonna believe us now? You're not gonna treat us like you're not gonna be assholes to us anymore.
Party that way, and we go.
He does look like Anton LaVey.
And Ted, we'll see you in 3 days.
Though it did not find a Bigfoot, this team did find hair and fecal droppings. Evidence found on expeditions like that of Robert Morgan's, and found by chance by hunters and hikers, eventually finds its way into scientific laboratories like this one. Some of it has yielded interesting results, For instance, though some feces collected and turned in are found to be that of bears or other animals, others remain unexplained, unidentifiable, possibly from a creature unknown to science. Now, a great deal can be learned from droppings. For example, the eating habits of the creature, which in turn can help those who are looking for Bigfoot.
Well, what does this
Now, the
Bigfoot
Morgan
shit
expedition
look like?
reports that examination of feces leads them to believe that Bigfoot feeds on roots and grass and berries.
Peter
and tree
Graves is
shoots.
like, let me get up in
And
that
therefore, in
Bigfoot
their
shit.
search for Bigfoot, they are following the growth of these succulents. Now, samples of hair believed to be that of
Succulents.
Bigfoot are frequently brought in for examination. And again, though most of it turns out to be that of bears or some other known animal, there is that occasional finding, a strand of hair that defies analysis. Not that of a bear, not a man or a coyote or a wolf, but of something unknown.
But what about the scat? Joey, have you ever looked at Bigfoot scat in a microscope before?
Several times, such hair samples have stymied scientific definition. Now, these hair samples were found at the site of giant human-like footprints and after a sighting of a Bigfoot creature. The hair samples, then, should be labeled Exhibit D, a piece of evidence which the United States Army has endorsed in its official engineering atlas covering the state of Washington. In a section about the wildlife of the state, Sasquatch, or Bigfoot, is featured. The text goes on to report that hair samples sent to the FBI labs have defied analysis. Exhibit E, the Minnesota Iceman. What might have been the only body of a Bigfoot
Minnesota
ever found by
Iceman?
modern man.
What the fuck?
At first, nothing more than a carnival exhibit, a rotting corpse partially visible in a block of ice. Later to be thought of by at least 2 international scientists as an unknown large primate, perhaps the dead body of a young Bigfoot. This unusual evidence mysteriously disappeared in 1968.
What? Of course, mysterious.
Next, I turn to an investigative avenue often taken by the world's police departments to get another, if unusually different, viewpoint of the creature's existence.
Hell
a
yeah.
viewpoint that police departments in Miami, Boston, Los Angeles, and
It's
even
turning into
Scotland
Hill
Yard
Street Blues over
have
here.
called
Fuck
upon to
yeah.
help solve seemingly unsolvable crimes. I went to Peter Hurkos, the world's foremost psychic
Peter
detective at his home in
Hurkos.
Los Angeles.
Peter Hurkos was a celebrity psychic of the 50s and 60s.
I took with me, unknown to him and concealed in a suitcase, a plaster cast of a giant Bigfoot footprint. Hurkos, who has worked with police on such cases as the Boston Strangler and the Ann Arbor murders,
He
has
did
the
do that,
unusual
but
psychic gift of being able to
I don't
read
know if he
facts
actually
from unseen objects,
gave them any real
to sense the reality and truth of such objects, and to describe in detail, from telepathic images in his brain, what is hidden from his view.
Frightened. I didn't know what to do with it. But I had to do any type of science may impose.
Now, I have something inside this case that I want to know something more about.
Yeah.
Now, can you psychometrize what's in here without ever having seen it? And tell me
Psychometrize.
something about it.
I
anything?
love that word. It's a new
I
word.
will try.
All right.
Can I set it up or what?
Yes,
I
you
want
can
to know.
put it any way you
What?
like.
Tell me what I can do. He was apparently the subject of two part episodes of One Step Beyond. It's Peter Hurkos. Also appeared on Johnny Carson.
Half man, half animal.
He knows. Holy shit.
Weighs about, I would say about 500 pounds. It's about between 8 and 9 feet. Lives in cave. Lives in cave.
That's good remarks.
Eat part of animals, the intestine and animals eat, and also berries and green stuff. It's not a gorilla. It's like an.
Oh, Thomas, I didn't know that. That's cool. I didn't know you worked with
and long arms.
Herschel Gordon Lewis.
Normal fingers like we have. Very hairy, long hair and short beard type. Peter, do you want me to draw the picture the way I see the...
Will you? Yes, sure.
I have paper.
Yeah, Peter Graves is no Johnny Carson. We know
that. We've witnessed a dazzling display of Peter Herko's psychic powers. Powers that not only determined what was in a closed case, but powers that said the object in that case was authentic, not a fake, that it was made by a living creature, by a Bigfoot.
Great draw.
Peter Herkos, the vision
almost
of the
as good
detective.
As the foot. And that is gonna take us to our second break. Well, we are 2/3 of the way through the mysterious monsters, and yeah, we've had a lot more. We had more eyewitness accounts. We got a little more into the science of it, if you want to call it that. The computer stuff was actually kind of cool. I don't know if we really learned anything from it. I don't know if that tape was real, but it was cool to see them use a computer to try to break down I don't know if it actually means anything, but the frequencies and whatever I don't know. Hey, again, it's just this thing that we're all speculating on. Is it real? Is it not real? I don't know. And you've got people that are at least spending the time and using the expensive equipment to run tests. So it's just a matter of what's the likelihood that a lot of shit is just faked by people and a lot of equipment just can't detect it? Who knows? That's the thing. If a Bigfoot can be real, then so can people faking it. Which, again, that gets into the Patterson-Gimlin film, which we still haven't seen yet in this doc, which, again, is apparently one of the big notable things about this doc. So I guess they're doing the right thing and they're saving it for the grand finale. But this is definitely still trying to... it's doing a pretty good job with the reenactments, I would say. There, that one they did where the guy just saw Bigfoot behind the trees, kind of snuck up on him. That was really good. That freaked me out. It caught me off guard. And yeah, the drawing, I don't know, Sears, got my stubble going. It made me look a little like me. Herko certainly is not as much of an artiste as the guy that drew the foot earlier. That was... It looked a little something like this. That was insane. There was no point to that. But it was fun. Had fun with it. Yeah, I think, I don't know. It's been a pretty fun, exciting middle. I would say that the pacing is kept up. It really didn't slow down at all in terms of trying to explore different facets of it. And didn't get ever too hung up on any one story or anything like that. And yeah, right, yeah, Scott. It's and that's the other thing about the Patterson-Gimlin film. Gorilla suit, ape suit, I don't know. That's a claim that's been made. That's the thing, I have all this information about Patterson-Gimlin film, and we haven't even seen it yet. So I'll save it. And I'm sure a lot of you know. The basic details are all pretty simple, but that is one of the things that came out later is somebody came forward. A costume maker based in North Carolina, of course, named Philip Morris. And tobacco. He's into costumes. he said that he made the costume for the Patterson-Gimlin film. And his claims seem kind of spurious to me, but he said that he made ape costumes for like some kind of like show act where like a woman would transform into an ape. And so he made these costumes, and somehow Gimlin came across this guy and then mail ordered the costume. Or no, not Gimlin, sorry, Patterson. And mail ordered the costume and then asked about trying to make modifications to it. So it was the whole thing. Again, yeah, you know those North Carolinians. We're all about, you know, making big costumes, trying to make a big to-do of everything. That's us. But yeah, it's you know, that's just, I mean, there was a guy named Bob Hieronymus who came out and said, oh yeah, I was the guy in the suit. I mean, there was all this stuff that came out, but you know, I'm sure they'll get into it, but Patterson died before this documentary came out. He died in 1972, but the film was shot in 1967. And, you know, obviously he maintained until he died that it was real, but he was also a Bigfoot enthusiast who had self-published his own book about Bigfoot the year before he shot the footage. And he was apparently in the process of trying to make a film about Bigfoot, about cowboys going on a quest for Bigfoot with an Indian tracker, who was played by Bob Gimlin, who is the guy who's credited as being with him when the film was shot. So that's why it's called the Patterson-Gimlin film. So then it came out later that they were actually working on a Bigfoot movie. Patterson was trying to also sell patents. You heard earlier about that Loch Ness, that Nessie guy from Boston who was a patent lawyer and also into Nessie. So something about just trying to, you know, people looking for ways to get rich quick. But I mean, you know, again, Patterson has the most famous film of Bigfoot, and it caused problems with tonight's film. I'll go ahead and tell you that. Basically, what happened was the Patterson-Gimlin film was used in a documentary a few years before this called Bigfoot, Man or Beast, which I think one of you guys already mentioned in the chat. And that was from a company called American National Enterprise, who had a rivalry going with Sun Classic Pictures, because one of the guys that had made Charles Sellier, who we'll talk about, he had made some films or been involved with them briefly and then went over to Sun Classic. And so when they used the Patterson-Gimlin footage in this documentary, American National, who used it in their documentary, they sued, alleging piracy, and said that the Patterson-Gimlin footage was licensed exclusively to them. But there's all kinds of copyright issues with the Patterson-Gimlin film anyway. But basically, when that happened, when A&E sued, the title of the film was changed from Bigfoot, the Mysterious Monster to The Mysterious Monsters. And so that's kind of how they avoided confusion from Bigfoot, Man or Beast, Bigfoot, the Mysterious Monster to The Mysterious Monsters. They get away with it with talking about Yeti and the Abominable Snowman. Yeti, not so much, but Yeti, Abominable Snowman. That stuff, I guess, or not so much, but the Nessie stuff for sure. The Nessie stuff was that's monsters. That's different enough. We'll count it. But yeah, and I mean, again, yeah, the Patterson-Gimlin copyright situation is really complicated, but hey, it didn't stop this film from still earning $11 million. So, and that was all the brainchild of the producer of tonight's film, Charles Sellier Jr., who was a principal in Sun Classic Pictures. And he was kind of the guy that stumbled upon, we should make all these schlock docs. We should, he wasn't so much the one that mandated family-friendly entertainment. I think that came more from this other guy named Frawley, who was the Schick. He was the main guy from Schick that was involved in this. And he was he was a devout Catholic. So he was like, all right, this is just going to be like family friendly. And I think Sellier was also, he was Catholic, raised, and then converted to Mormonism, and then I think became an evangelical. So I don't know at what point all that happened. But Sellier kind of came into the picture and was like, hey, we should... what we should do is we should test our audience. We should use market research before we even make the movie. Usually a Hollywood studio, after they've made the movie, then they'll do test screenings. They'll kind of see what people think. But Sellier was the one that said for Sun Classic, let's actually do market research before we make the movie, and let's find out what people want to see. And they decided that their target audience was just going to be mostly working class families who weren't habitual moviegoers, who'd maybe go to the movies once or twice a year. That's who, through the target audience, or through the market research that Sellier spearheaded, that's how they zeroed in on that target audience, which sounds weird. But like every one of their movies, they put in a few $100,000 and made $10 to $20 million off of the movie. And Sellier, his biggest success even before Mysterious Monsters doing that was with The Life and Times of Grizzly Adams, which of course a lot of people know from the TV show. But before that, there were a few movies which were produced by Sellier, and they were released by Sun Classics. The TV show was produced by Sun Classic, and Sellier was he was the producer for that. And I believe that came out in 1974, so that was the year before tonight's film. And it's really, it's kind of wild because, I think Grizzly Adams grossed like $25 million. And this is from the four walling, which Sun Pictures Classics did. Sun Classic Pictures, sorry. I always mix those up. They said, hey, let's four wall, and they made a bunch of money from Grizzly Adams. But then Sellier was the one who said, let's make these docs. And the second show that we're going to see is for a doc that Sellier produced entitled, oh God, what is it entitled? It is about what happens when you die. It's about life after death, and it's entitled Beyond and Back, from 1978 through, so 3 years after tonight's film. And it includes, talking head interviews with people who died for a few minutes and they saw heaven or they saw hell, and so they're recounting what happened. And apparently it's very ridiculous. But that was also produced by Sellier, released by Sun Classic. And Sellier had a pretty interesting later career, which we'll talk about after the break. But he was a pretty pioneering indie producer in terms of realizing that you could use data, you could use research to figure out what people wanted. And, and that they were really trying to target families that didn't go to the movies that much. To think about that would be your target audience. That's such a weird thing. But that was Sellier. But he kind of had an interesting directing credit later on, which we're going to talk about after the break. So stick around for that. It's very interesting. But we're going to get these two trailers for some Cellier produced films. And then when we come back, we're going to get into the exciting conclusion of The Mysterious Monsters. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Sometimes the hardest thing to believe is what you see with your own eyes. A 500-pound grizzly bear, the most dangerous animal in North America, showing one man open affection. The timid deer and the unpredictable cougar actually joining this man in play. All this and more actually happens in the life and times of Grizzly Adams. This motion picture will take you deeper into the wilderness than man has ever been. You will see what James Adams saw. You will share his wonder and fear. And you will experience the most unusual and heartwarming wildlife story ever documented. Come share the life and times of Grizzly Adams. You will never forget it. Rated G.
Starts Wednesday for 1 week only in Wheeling, Steubenville, and Weirton. Coming soon to New Martinsville, Carrollton, and Woodsfield. See your newspaper for theaters and showtimes.
May 10th, 1975. Dan Wilson was about to enter a realm from which very few persons have ever returned. He was about to die. Though pronounced clinically dead, Wilson miraculously recovered and was able to tell about the experience. Someday, like Dan Wilson, we are all going to die. What will it be like? Is there life after death? Is there a heaven? How does it feel to die? What happens at the moment of death? Some people believe that the spirit leaves the body on a voyage into the unknown. But where does the spirit go? Until now, no one really knew. Death has always been the final mystery. In ancient Greece, the philosopher Plato searched for the key to the unknown. In 1918, a young ambulance driver named Ernest Hemingway suffered a temporary death on the battlefield and miraculously recovered to write about it. And in 1975, Byron Temple fell from a 4-story building and was pronounced clinically dead. Yet he was revived to tell of his fantastic experience. On August 4th, 1943, Paul Kelly died of pneumonia. He left his body and for a time wandered through the hospital until it was brought back to life. On December 14th, 1964, Anne Fleck died. Suddenly, she was outside her body looking down on the scene below. Later, she could recount in detail events which happened in the room while she was pronounced clinically dead. What happened during the fateful minutes these people spent in the world beyond? Now comes the startling new motion picture, Beyond and Back. You'll meet people who have actually suffered a temporary death. Some say they've met Christ. Others simply floated in a peaceful darkness. And there are those who claim they visited another dimension. But in all cases, it was an unforgettable experience, and these people say they no longer fear the hereafter. Now you'll be able to decide for yourself if there is life after death. It's an exciting experience for the whole family. Don't miss Beyond and Back from Sun Classic Pictures.
And we are back. So that was the trailers for The Life and Times of Grizzly Adams and, of course, Beyond and Back. And two very different films, clearly. That's the interesting thing about Cellier, is that his market research, really, it did find that a lot of people enjoyed speculative documentaries. But also, again, it was the kind of the family oriented direction of the company that I think led him to doing Grizzly Adams. And again, Sun Classic, they were involved in feature films and in television. That's how the Grizzly Adams TV show was produced by Sun Classic. And but you know, I mean, by the late 70s, early 80s, the SCHLOCK docs, the Sun Classic kind of really, that was their bread and butter, kind of went out of style. And so they ended up being bought out by a company named Taft International in 1980. And so Taft kind of took it in a different direction and did more mainstream things throughout the 80s, one of which was Cujo from 1983. So Sun Classic is credited as a producer of Cujo, and I guess they actually still hold the rights. So whoever owns the Sun Classic entity brand now is saying, well, there's going to be a new Cujo. We're involved. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if they actually own the rights, but that's what it says on their website. So it's not the same people that own it now, but you know, that was clearly a big property for Sun Classic / Taft. And so obviously Cellier left, I think, once they got bought out. And again, he still made a lot of these documentaries, a lot for television, but then weirdly enough, I guess he just kind of gained this reputation for being able to produce low-budget movies and return a big profit. So he ended up being hired by TriStar Pictures to direct Silent Night, Deadly Night, as Romarts pointed out earlier in the chat. Well, again, let's remember that Cellier was a very religious guy. So apparently during Silent Night, Deadly Night, the editor of the movie had to come in to direct some of the more violent sequences because Cellier just didn't want to have anything to do with it. He couldn't handle it. I don't know which, but he apparently didn't even shoot some of the more violent sequences. And I mean, he went on to kind of throughout the 90s, early 2000s, produce a lot of made for TV and direct-to-home video documentaries about, historical figures, speculative, religious, science fiction things. I mean, again, that was kind of his bread and butter, but weirdly enough, one of the only directing credits that he has is for Silent Night, Deadly Night. It's a very strange way that shakes out, but that's him. But again, big, pretty big into Christian media, Christian publishing later in his life. Same with Patrick Frawley, who was the Schick executive who was involved in Sun Classic, and he produced a lot of that after they were out of Sun Classic. So really interesting story. I didn't know with this Bigfoot documentary that we were getting all this like Hollywood, not Hollywood, but indie producing, distributing history that I was really unaware of. Because I've always heard about four-walling, and I've heard about filmmakers making a lot from it or producers, but I guess I didn't think about it in the sense of like this style of documentary, which was definitely popular, from the mid to late 70s. I mean, I think Sun Classic even distributed Chariot of the Gods. That was one of the early things. They didn't produce it, but they distributed it. I mean, they showed that four-walling, they could really rake in a lot of money at that time. I mean, I think Grizzly Adams, when it came, their movie version, when it came out, was like the 7th highest grossing film of 1974. If you go look up the other, or 75, what it was. was, 74, 75, 76. But whatever other films came out that year, it's like, wait, that movie grossed higher than this Academy Award winning film or that again. But that was just the nature of indie filmmaking back at this time, and having a distribution strategy like four-walling. So really cool stuff. You know me, I'm a movie nerd. I'm a movie history nerd. This is what I live for, so this is what the show is about. So I could go on. We have to get into the exciting conclusion of the mysterious monsters. And before we get into it, I mean, again, we haven't seen the Patterson-Gimlin film. So that's what I'm guessing they're going to cap it off with. We're looking forward to it. Yes, Scott, he did also produce the Boogans, the Monster Squad, and the Running Man. Isn't that crazy? He didn't. Sun Classic released those films. That's right. But Cellier did produce the Boogans. The other two films were just released by Sun Classic after they were bought out by Taft. But yeah, pretty interesting like cross section of movies that we get just talking about this one company and like a couple filmmakers. We're getting all over the map. So you gotta love it. Again, this is what I live for. But yeah, we'll see if we what Bigfoot action we get in the hopefully exciting conclusion of the mysterious monsters. So without further ado, we'll get into it right now.
For Exhibit G,
TBS
to a small Washington town not far from the Canadian border, increasingly more intrigued by the abundance of psychic and physical evidence. The most compelling evidence for Bigfoot's existence, however, remains the eyewitness reports. And the most compelling of these are when the creature has been seen at the same time by more than one person. Now, in police work, this is called corroboration, and it's another way to establish the truth. Now, there are scores of such corroborative stories in the Bigfoot investigation, but the most interesting to me are these. This file contains the accounts of over a dozen sightings of Bigfoot, all taking place within a 30-day period in this small Washington town. It was during a salmon run on the river, and Mr. and Mrs. Tom Stern were the first to encounter the creature. It was during September 1975.
Great day for fishing.
Yes, it really is.
Say, by the way, what time's your brother coming over this evening?
Oh, I don't know, fairly early. There's something wrong with this reel.
That's the one you wanted, sweetheart.
I don't know, maybe it's me. I don't seem to be working it right.
Well, you work it right and catch some fish, and I promise I'll fry them.
Would you mind taking a look at it?
What is that?
What is that?
What is it?
Scent's going hard.
At least 10 feet tall.
Yeah, they must have weighed 500-600 pounds.
It stinks. Was that Bigfoot scat? Nuh-uh. Shut up. It just took a huge shit right. Oh no, it's just footprints.
Mr. and Mrs. Stern's sighting of the hairy creature, backed up by their discovery of giant footprints, was to be followed by a more terrifying experience. Police cards on file at the county sheriff's office recount the horror of that second encounter. 10:10 p.m., September 12, 1975. Rita Graham was alone in the living room watching television.
Rita Graham. Wow, what kind of television is that? Yeah, Tron, that would be a good album. I'd love to hear Bigfoot scat. And it's just Bigfoot doing improv jazz.
And then we're going to take that. Forgot. Yes, dear, Mexico.
Holy shit.
The two of us alone. Where we are. Margaritas. Have you heard from Mary? No. I think she sent some flowers.
Oh! Thank God she's not alone. Get it, David. Ah! What? You can't stop it right there.
There were 10 more such sightings in the town within the next 3 weeks. The most dramatic of which took place in the early morning hours of September 16th, while 3 Indian youths were fishing on the Nooksack River.
I excused it the first time. I forgot about
John
it.
Green, 31, a recreational director for the Lummi Indian Council.
What is happening?
And 2 friends were taking turns drifting down the channel, trailing their nets, fishing for
right
salmon.
There. I just can't. Watusis in the house. Welcome, Watusis. It's been pretty good. We've enjoyed it so far. Pretty ridiculous.
His friends 50 feet upstream, John Green heard a strange noise. He became aware of a strong, unpleasant smell, felt something tugging at his nets, but he saw nothing.
It is what? Oh!
Are you okay?
Just stop right here.
This way! Come
One town, a number of sightings. Now, is it possible that so many people over a period of time could fabricate and maintain their stories, that is, tell lies, or are they telling the truth? Well, with me is William Stenberg, a former police officer for the Glendale Police Department.
It's been a lot of fun,
A man licensed by the state of California to do polygraph work, that is, to conduct lie detector examinations. We're about to test the story of one of those townspeople, Johnny Green.
Oh, fuck yeah, hook him up.
We're going to give him a lie detector test to see if he was telling the truth.
Johnny, you better be telling the
In order that
truth.
the test meet every standard of normal investigative work, our cameras will not intrude on the examination. We'll watch from back here through a two-way mirror.
Oh, okay. Great.
Will not be altered by our presence. Now, Mr. Stenberg, can you tell me basically how the polygraph works?
Yes, sir, I can. This is a Keeler polygraph 3-channel instrument. It records the breathing in the pneumo tube, which is placed around the subject's abdomen. The cardio cuff, which is placed upon either the left or right arm, records the rise and fall in the subject's blood pressure. A galvanic skin response is placed upon either the left or right hand, and it records certain perspiration emitted by the palm of the hand. All the reactions are recorded independently by the 3 pins, the pneumo, galvanic skin response, and the cardio.
All questions require yes or no answers.
No movement, John. Test about to begin. Close your eyes, please, John. Is your name
Peter's got to be right there.
You intend to answer all of my questions truthfully?
Yes.
Do you believe you saw a creature 7 feet tall standing in the water of the Nooksack River at 2:30 a.m.?
Yes.
Did you feel and see the creature pull on the tailboard attached to your fishing net?
There's been some great sideburns in this movie tonight. I just got to say.
Did you see the creature in your light?
Yes.
Were you truthful to me when you described the creature 7 feet tall, heavy build, covered with hair and a head shaped like a gorilla?
Yes.
To complete a polygraph test, Stenberg asks the same 12 questions 3 times each.
Have you lied to me on any of these questions?
No.
Test is complete, John. Please remain seated.
The polygraph machine confirms that John
Yeah,
Green did see
yeah,
something
we
that
do.
night
I
in
need
the
to find
Nooksack
a
River.
PD alien.
Something large and hairy.
Sure,
something John
they're out
Green and his
there
neighbors
somewhere.
call Bigfoot.
Dr. Sidney Walter, a clinical psychologist licensed by the California State Board of Medical Examiners. A former professor at UCLA and a government consultant, Dr. Walter specializes in the use of hypnosis. And he is, at this moment, placing Jerry Lou Welchel of Fontana, California, into a hypnotic trance. Now, Jerry Lou has already told me that she, her girlfriend, and 2 children all saw Bigfoot one night 6 years ago. Dr. Walter will now test her story under hypnosis.
You're back into the summer of 1968. It is summertime of 1968. It is summertime of 1968. You're going to call up your girlfriend, Kathy. You're going to get into your T-Bird and drive toward that location, and you're going to relive and experience everything in detail, step by step.
This is insane. Why are they hypnotizing this Bigfoot witness? Yeah, Joe, that'd be actually pretty fun.
Kathy? Kathy. This is Jerry. Is Jean over at your house?
Oh, we're gonna see her reenact the whole day?
You just left here. Yeah. No, he said that they were going up to see about that monster. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
here's
you
it. I
wanna
wish
go?
it was spinning right now. It'd make this a lot more
Just ready.
interesting.
Okay. See you in a few minutes. Okay, get your coats on. Okay, come here, Sherry.
Jerry Lou, now actually in a deep hypnotic trance,
Okay, go get in the car.
is recalling how she and a girlfriend went out to a deserted drag strip to investigate the reports of a monster seen there the night before.
Now get back in the seat and sit down. Is Kathy home? You ready to go? Okay. Now, where was it? The drag strip.
What?
Nah. No monster's gonna be there.
You know, monster
No.
drag shit. Nah. No.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, heck.
But she didn't say that.
Kathy, look out. Get down, get down, get down. Oh. Oh. She's bleeding. I'm all right, I'm all right. Let's go to the police. Come on.
Drift deeper and deeper into a relaxed state now, Jerry.
Oh, don't bring her out.
Deeper
It was
and
just
deeper
getting
into
good.
a relaxed state. You could hear me clearly. Let your whole body become calm and relaxed. Now you can recall scenes as I ask you questions. They'll be very vivid, very clear to you, but you are safe and sound. You are safe and sound at home. Jerry, you could hear me clearly. What were you frightened of?
It was big. And it smelled terrible.
It was big and smelled terrible?
Yes. It smelled terrible.
It smelled terrible. Can you describe what frightened you even more?
Most of all, is it getting to the kids. It's terrible. It's terrible.
True.
It was like a... I can't explain it. It's just big, hairy, and it hurt me.
How big do you believe it was?
How did it hurt her?
Using hypnosis as a tool to help us establish the truth.
Okay,
we have
thank you,
verified
Peter,
an
for
actual
swooping in here.
eyewitness account of an encounter with Bigfoot.
What touched you, Jerry?
Exhibit H, the still photographs. This one taken in 1965 in Oregon by an experienced woodsman, Zach Hamilton. And this one taken in 1974 in British Columbia, Canada, by an Ohio woman on vacation.
I don't see it. I don't see it.
And a third one taken in Alaska in 1973.
Guess I see it. Looks more like an 8.
Pictures of the creature would seem to be all the proof that's needed to confirm Bigfoot's existence.
Not those
The
pictures.
most famous picture of Bigfoot is this one.
There it
Taken by
is.
Yakima, Washington rodeo rider Roger Patterson in 1967 in Bluff Creek, California. Patterson took about 28 feet of motion picture film, the most controversial film of its kind. It startled the scientific world. Anthropologist Grover Krantz of Washington State University, Dr. Donald W. Grieve, a London scientist, and Dr. Dmitry Donsky, the chief of biomechanics at a Russian institute, all studied the film, and they could find no reason to doubt the film's authenticity. And John Napier, a primate biologist formerly of the Smithsonian Institution, also studied the film, and he wrote in his book that he, too, is convinced that Bigfoot exists. Patterson took his famous film while on an expedition with a colleague. They were tracking down the giant, hairy, man-like monster. Patterson had been searching for the creature for 8 years.
So, I mean, again, remember,
Suddenly there was a
Patterson...
commotion. Patterson's horse reared, throwing him. Patterson grabbed his camera and filmed as he ran. Here is his actual footage, the images he captured, what he called the abominable snowman of America, or Bigfoot.
Damn.
If this film
Zoom
is
in, zoom
legitimate,
in.
then there can no longer be any question about Bigfoot's existence. To verify its legitimacy, I went to anthropologist Grover Krantz at Washington State University.
There is one film that was made by Roger Patterson in 1967 of what appears to be a Sasquatch that I'm reasonably convinced now is a legitimate piece of film. I've checked just about every possible measurement of that film, having looked at it, at least 50 times now. I don't think there's any way Patterson could have figured this all out and faked it.
I also asked
A lot
Dr.
of people
Jeffrey
say
Bourne,
that it
director
seems
of
like
the
it would have been
prestigious
really hard
Yerkes
for them
Primate Lab
to
in
fake
Atlanta,
it
Georgia,
as well as they
to
did.
analyze the film.
Well, you know, that looks to me very much like a human walk. Its gait is very much of a human-type gait.
If you have a large primate who has basically the bipedal locomotion, he would have to have a human-like gait. This is exactly what I would expect.
And also, when you look at its feet as it walks, the undersurface is much too light-colored for an animal with this kind of dark fur.
The light color on the bottom of the feet is perfectly normal for any primate, or, well, most hominid-like primates. Africans with black skin have very light-colored soles of the feet. This is simply because the stratum corneum is very thick and carries less of the pigment.
And furthermore, it seems to have the characteristics of both male and female. The head has a big crest on it, like a male gorilla does, and this crest is called a sagittal crest. Now, this creature also has pendulous breasts, which is a female characteristic.
The crest, the sagittal crest on the top of the head,
Yeah, let's get into the Bigfoot breasts.
Male characteristic in the Patterson film. Well, yes, it's a characteristic of adult male gorillas and orangutans, but it's not a male characteristic, it's a size characteristic. Beyond a certain size, the jaw muscles must find attachment on a special crest, and it happens that only male gorillas and orangutans get that big. If there were a female primate of the 5 to 500-pound body size, it would have to be so big that it would have a crest as well. So it's not a male characteristic.
And the breasts are covered in fur, and in all other primates, the breasts are actually either bare or very sparsely haired.
I don't know what the breast of a Sasquatch ought to look like. Of course, what's going on there is, in Patterson's film, the creature has a bulge here, which seems to be a two-part bulge, but it's not really very clear.
Oh, breasts and a bulge?
Actually be breasts. These could be outpouchings from the trachea, which occur in many large apes, called laryngeal air sacs.
Patterson, who died of cancer in 1972, swore on his deathbed that this film was authentic. His partner that day also swears that what you're seeing now is a picture of a real Bigfoot.
I haven't seen like this much of it.
Satisfied with this evidence, some scientists are now trying to classify the Bigfoot creatures, declaring them to be perhaps a more evolved species of a fossilized ape, a more man-like Gigantopithecus. They've determined that there is a large colony of the creatures, perhaps 200 of them, centered mainly in the Pacific Northwest.
That would be something. Man, they had to shell out for 3 Bigfoots.
Who travel in small groups, and oftentimes alone, following the food supply. They're mainly vegetarians, eating roots, berries, fruits, and nuts. Some have been seen, though not frequently, eating small rodents like field mice.
Nice. Just a family of Bigfoots.
There have even been accounts of them digging for clams at an ocean beach. creatures have also been seen pulling fish from the streams and taking them from fishermen's barrels outside their homes.
You don't need them. We need them more than you do.
They have never been known to use fire or to use tools, though they have frequently been seen using a stick or a stone.
Big feet learn how to use fire, we'd all be
They build
screwed.
no permanent dwellings, making their beds under trees or in caves. They sleep mostly during the day, traveling and looking for food at night, finding safety in the darkness.
Big feet. Yes, sir. Jack is in the house. Welcome,
Animal-like
Jack. Hope
senses,
you're doing
and
well
they're quick to
tonight.
perceive danger. They're strong,
He bit
very
big.
fast
He
for
bit
creatures
big.
their size. And yet, they're non-territorial, yielding the land to the first intruder. Some accounts indicate that the Bigfoot creatures might live in family units.
Family. Yeah. I mean, that's what we're
Albert
seeing right here.
Hoffman's observations in 1924
I like it.
show that the father performed certain patriarchal duties for his family.
Daddy Bigfoot. Gotta take care of the
The
family.
young of the Bigfoot probably enjoy a longer childhood than do most creatures in the wild. They're dependent on their elders for food, for protection, and for instruction in how to deal with the wild animals in the forest and with man.
Young Bigfoots are they're just Gen Z.
They
Millennials.
themselves are not predators. If they were, more would be known about them. For a giant creature that attacked and fed on cougars and goats and deer could not long escape the watchful eye and the ready rifle of the hunter. They're shy and wary creatures, apparently gentle toward both man and beast. Creatures alive to the possibilities of the wilderness. They're elusive creatures, hard to catch a glimpse of. Creatures perhaps like man, still evolving into a higher order. There are some who believe that the Bigfoot creatures are man, primitive man, and as such are entitled to all the protection our society offers other men.
I mean, why not?
One true story that illustrates Bigfoot's human likeness is that told about an Oregon high school teacher, William Lawrence. Lawrence was driving with his wife, Kathy, on a backcountry road in the spring of 1973.
A lot of good fishing around here, especially this time of year. See everything you want, you get. Son of a... You see that? I'll get my rifle and get a shot at this thing.
Of course, dickhead.
Shoot! I can't.
Huh, well, you just blew it. You blew it.
I can't. It looks human.
Good. I'm glad.
Unable to shoot, Lawrence later described Bigfoot as having the eyes of a thinking creature, not the eyes of a wild animal. Man or beast? What it is still unknown. Some believe that Bigfoot is a kind of ape, undiscovered by science, or a prehistoric species of ape thought to be extinct. Others speculate it might be the so-called missing link, or even early man. Whatever it is, the volume of evidence seems conclusive. Our Earth is host to such giant creatures as the Bigfoot. There are the sightings, corroborated by hypnosis and polygraph tests, the footprints, the sound recordings, the photographs, the film, all enough to prove that Bigfoot is as much a part of our life as the gorilla or the Loch Ness Monster.
Are you sure about that?
Bigfoot is today free to roam the forests of America.
Good.
Living off the land, but leaving no trace of his passage except for an occasional footprint. He's gigantic and powerful, and yet he harms nobody and destroys nothing.
Sure.
He is at peace with the wilderness. But this wilderness is vanishing. Each year, the press of civilization converts our forests into towns.
It's true.
Our meadows into roads.
Mm-hmm.
The land the Bigfoot lives on shrinks, Soon they may be driven from their wilderness cover, like Ishi, the dawn man of Redding, California. And we will at last know what they are. And then there will be no more.
We'll drive them out with all our development and destroying the environment. That'll get the Bigfoot out. Then we'll be satisfied. Who cares if we destroy the environment?
We'll continue to try to solve the mystery of Bigfoot. But as we do, let us hope that we will not destroy what we seek to understand.
Hey, there we go. They had to say it at some point. But my goodness. Oh, Peter Herkos, he gets first billing? What the hell? Peter Herkos, all he did was cold read about Bigfoot for 5 minutes. What was that worth? I want to know who played the Big Feet. Give them a higher credit. I mean, my goodness. It doesn't get much more 70s than that, does it? You gotta love it. I really enjoyed that so much, especially because the last Bigfoot documentary we got was nothing like that at all. If you saw The Legend of Bigfoot, you know, no eyewitness accounts, just Ivan Marks, all Ivan Marks. Yeah, the main DP they have credited on this, he DP'd some big projects, believe it or not. Cooperation of very educational, big time. The Loch Ness investigation. American Yeti expeditions. The Chupacabra. That'll be next to my list. We need more Chupacabra movies. Portions of this film taken from the land of the Yeti. Taken? Oh, did Wolper produce this? I don't know that. Well, that was The Mysterious Monsters. And I gotta say, it was a lot of fun. It really was. The pacing was pretty solid. Even at the end there, it got a little slow at some parts, but really enjoyed seeing, obviously, the Patterson-Gimlin footage. That's what we all know, but I guess I've just never searched for the whole thing, tried to find the whole thing, but actually seeing more of it here was kind of cool, kind of interesting, because you just don't, you don't really see it walk off normally, which I think is what we saw here. So that was cool. No, Charlie's not chiming in tonight. Sears, no Charlie. He's gonna be quiet tonight. He has nothing to say. He's too scared of Bigfoot. Dogs and Bigfoot, I don't know if they get along too well. But yeah, I mean, I think, again, that was just, obviously lent a lot of gravitas by Peter Graves. I mean, again, he really established a lot of cred later on when he narrated biography. So maybe it's just that. Maybe it's just having, again, his dulcet tones narrating this. But he was right up in the thick of it. He was in the action. He wanted some answers about this Bigfoot scenario. He wanted to know what was going on. So, I mean, was it staged? Probably, obviously, yeah. But it still made it fun. It made it engaging to have Peter Graves at least act like he was so invested in learning everything that there was to know about Bigfoot. So that was cool. Yeah, I mean, we don't get a lot of documentaries on this show in general. So to get something like that really tried to cover as much ground as it possibly could in an hour and a half. I mean, that's all you can ask for on a show like this. For a movie like that we show on our show, you're just hoping that it's not going to be padding for half the movie, if not more. And this definitely didn't feel like padding to me. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good addition to our Bigfoot Yeti stable movies. And yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think you guys, I think that in terms of Bigfoot movies, that's kind of more what we would like, what y'all would like. So it was very good. And yes, Jack, I got to see that too. I've heard good things, surprisingly. But this was a great way to get through our penultimate film of the summer of Schlock Strikes Back, because we are indeed closing in on the conclusion of season 14 of the Scream Stream. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy, but summer's got to come to an end for us at some point. But here on the show, that's a great thing, because that means we're going into fall, and fall, of course, it's scary times, spooky season, all next season. And of course, Shocktober, which that's our biggest time of the year on this show. So we're looking forward to Shocktober next season. But we've still got one more episode to finish season 14 out strong. And of course, we finish every season off the same way here on the Scream Stream, as most of y'all know. And, we like to, again, me, I like patterns. And so last summer of Schlock, we ended off with a very fun Bela Lugosi horror comedy, because we end off every season with a Bela Lugosi movie. But during the summers of Schlock, I like to do some Lugosi horror comedies, of which there are quite a few. I think the first summer of Schlock was when we watched Bela Lugosi Meets a Brooklyn Gorilla, which I'm sure a lot of you remember that very fondly. It was good. It was good. I mean, Bela Lugosi Meets a Brooklyn Gorilla is, not a high point in his career, but it's a schlocky movie to enjoy. And then, of course, last season, we watched one of his earliest horror comedies, Spooks Run Wild, where he shared the screen with the East Side Kids, who are a group of tough little boys from the streets of New York, the Bowery, of course. And next week, that's how we're going to finish off season 14, with another Lugosi East Side Kids excursion, outing, pairing, whatever you want to call it, with Ghosts on the Loose, which I believe came after Spooks Run Wild, and if I'm correct, also features Ava Gardner in one of her earliest roles. So who knew she appeared in a Poverty Row horror film? Should be a lot of fun next week. Yeah, you got Lugosi, you got East Side Kids, you got Ava Gardner in the mix. Ghosts on the Loose should be a pretty good time. So please Join us next Friday at 9 p.m. For that, Evan will be back in the flesh, hopefully. For that, hopefully the child is doing better by then. But of course, he wishes you all well. And again, we'll see him next week. But I really, 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 really appreciate everybody that tuned in tonight. Of course, we had all of our good friends in here. Lana, Joe, Thomas, Sears, Abtron, James, Bees Nest, Scott, Romarts, Toast, Tom O, Jack, and if I missed anybody, James, I think. Of course, I had James. There was anybody else? William, I think, tuned in earlier. Anybody else? I hope you guys enjoyed the Mysterious Monsters tonight. Great way to spend your Friday. Enjoyed spending it with all of you as always. And hey, flying solo. It's always fun. Again, makes me feel like a radio DJ, spinning it with all my fellow classic horror heads out there, public domain horror heads. Again, and we really appreciate Bees Nest and Alana for your contributions tonight. That was so awesome. First time we've gotten some super chats and some little gifts monetarily during the stream, so that was awesome. Appreciate the support here when I'm flying solo. That means a lot. So thank you, Alana. Thank you, Bees Nest. That was great. Again, we're gonna be here. We're gonna be doing our thing. We'll next week, that'll be the season finale, and we'll probably take a week off. Try to have some stuff going for y'all. Maybe do a Wheel of Movies, or may just get right into the next season. Not sure quite yet what's going to happen there. We'll let you know for sure next week. But we're really looking forward to it. Again, always looking ahead. So really, really, really appreciate everybody who tuned in tonight. And, I mean, again, Evan's not here, but I'm sure that he would say that Bigfoot film was pretty enlightening. Yeah, I think it'd be pretty mind-blowing for him. So, and of course, what Evan, it's like I can't do the normal things we do in the show without. All right, Evan's thing comes here. So, of course, as always, Evan would tell you guys sweet screams. Hold on. Wait, no. Evan says it to All Good Friday. I say in sweet screams. Wait, I'm all over the place. It's hard to keep track. But until next week, sweet screams, everybody. And to all a good fright.